Let's play the Queen's Court. Let's do it.
Mm.
You know, this is a segment. I don't know how many editions of this thing have we done? Maybe 5 or 6, somewhere around there. I think
I
about a month.
think so. I'm gonna start keeping track because this is you guys have really found me some good picks that I need to, that I've that have been
Well,
profitable
that's
for
what we
me. So
try to do
I
at Tackle Trading, right? Give you good ideas, give you good analysis, and then you can take it and do what you want with it.
It's been a
yeah.
fun, very, very fun new addition to the show. I've enjoyed it thoroughly, Emily, even if I do get my head chopped off every now and then. I am asking the Queen for just an open mind here today as we start Queen's Court. What we do here today on Tuesdays, guys, if you're out there watching for the first time, is the coaches who are here, besides Emily, are going to bring a stock or two, usually one, bit of analysis to Emily. She's our queen at tackle trading. And then we say, okay, please don't kill us. Do you accept our offer as a good stock pick with strong analysis and good detail behind it, or did we just miss the mark and we've got to have our head go to the gallows? I'm not sure. Emily, who do you want to go first?
I want to hear Mark's analysis on
All
UPS, so
right,
I will
let's give
have
it
Mark
the
go
UPS.
first.
Like I've been talking the last couple of days and all that. When I do an investment, I want a good thesis. Technical analysis is great for short-term trading, and it can contribute in your decision making and how you manage a long-term position. For example, when do you enter, if you're interested? When do you sell calls? When do you buy protective puts? When do you add shares? So technical analysis helps us all. But when I'm making a decision on an investment, I need a good thesis, right? It's why we've been so bullish on copper at tackle trading for the last year. Technicals have been great. They've been very supportive, but it is this thesis of money being put into the economy, money, money, money. Copper does very well in inflation and anticipating an inflationary environment, a- anticipating all kinds of stimulus. There was a thesis behind it. And so when I get a good thesis, I get very, very interested. And then when I get facts supporting that thesis, well, I feel very good and confident. And that's what I think is going on with UPS. Listen, I'm not going to exactly break any news here when I say that things have been trending towards e-commerce for a long time now, right? Uh, I think that the pandemic accelerated everything. I think it changed human behavior in some ways, maybe some ways good, some ways bad, but I definitely think it accelerated certain trends. And one of those trends was the dominant trend that's been going on for 15, 20 years on e-commerce. Everybody knows that e-commerce does more and more sales every year. I think the pandemic reinforced and created new habits in consumers. Now, there will always be retail stores to some degree, but I think you have a class of individuals who maybe were not as adverse or not comfortable with e-commerce as much. I think you had some people that did some e-commerce, and so I think everything got accelerated during the pandemic in the habits that were formed. And once habits are formed, and we know this from retail data and consumer data, once habits are formed, it's really hard to break out of habits. And once habits are formed, people tend to go to the same restaurant, right? People tend to go to the same stores. People tend to do the same things over and over. And when people get clicky in the button on the e-commerce, that starts forming habits. And when that goes on for a whole year, on what was already a dominant, powerful, inevitable trend, right? I think things got accelerated. And as such, UPS and the same analysis on this thesis would apply to FedEx. Is one of the reasons I've been bullish on these companies for the last year. Now, what I love, all right, so that's the overarching thesis, right? An accelerating trend in e-commerce. Who can benefit that? Obviously, retail stores that have great e-commerce platforms, Amazon naturally, but you also got the shipping companies who benefit from this general environment. All right, so that's the big thesis. Now, I love me a couple things that are going on UPS. First of all, I love a multi-month consolidation pattern. You have these big run-ups, right? So UPS and FedEx were running big in June, running big in July, running big into August. That's great. I hate chasing that. I hate chasing that because it can get really wonky. Because what oftentimes happens is exactly what happened with UPS. Big run up, take a long time off, trade sideways, formed a support level almost immediately. So you had a big week down in October, And then you just formed a support level there because there was real interest in UPS. Now it had extended itself, so the momentum had died in the short term, but formed a support level, tested it again at the start of the year, formed a support level almost immediately, and traded sideways for a long time, which you are now breaking out. And then when I get numbers, so I get a thesis, I get an idea, I got a technical formation, I have everything I want. And then today I get the numbers, I get the data showing that things are pretty darn good. And a true beat, not just this made up, like so many things in Wall Street, it's just a big manipulation game. This is a genuine beat. Love the thesis moving forward. I love the technical situation. The only thing now is the trigger. And, you don't want to like buy right away. You want to have, how do you play a gap? Different people are going to play it in different ways. If you get a pullback to the old resistance level, that would be ideal, a Cody special. If you get a 3-4 day short-term consolidation form with a breakout of that, it's just finding your trigger now. But that's my case for UPS. I submit it to the Queen for her judgment.
There's several things I could add in here from how to play that gap, Emily, but let's hear your judgment first here on UPS Mark's analysis and what he's looking for. By the way, the implied volatility from the podcast conversation yesterday got rocked here to the downside. Obviously, a high side gap is going to see volatility get just crushed. It's the lowest it's been since last year now. So options are relatively cheaper than they've been in quite some time. What are your thoughts here, Emily, on UPS?
I first of all, I love the way Mark goes through his planning process, right? Just talking about, how he looks at investments. And I mean, like hearing you talk today versus hearing you talk when you're talking about SPACs and all this other stuff that you do, this crap that you do. I'm like, you're two different people. But I love Investment Mark, because Investment Mark, makes absolute
Hey, I get distracted by shiny
about.
objects every once in a while, right? Driving down the road and you're like, what's that? Ooh, a taco truck. I need to go get me a taco.
McRib.
I see McRib back. You can forget that.
Forget about it. I need to sell naked puts on AMC so I can go buy McRibs. Like that Mark, I don't understand. But this Investment Mark, I love how you go through about, the whole, there's a thesis behind it, and then you find the facts that are supporting that thesis. And then, you talk about, the news and the formed habits and how you just piece everything together for you to make an informed decision. And I wish, a lot of us as investors would take that time to go through and think about that investment, the way you just kind of talked about it, because a lot of us just kind of like, I like Apple because of whatever. And you really don't go through that whole, process of where you're checking every box. And I wish, like, if you guys are not listening, go back and watch this and just like write down, like, the things to look for when you're going through these investments, have a thesis and look at the facts and look at the numbers and the pattern of consumers and the behavior and whatever sector it's in. So I really love that whole analysis about that. And for UPS being where it is today, it gapped up, but there's definitely now, especially when you look at the weekly, if this is an investment, obviously, doing covered calls, or maybe it's figuring out a way to do, poor boys covered call with it, or whatever the case might be. But this is definitely something that, has broken out of a long-term range. So I definitely love that. And like you said, maybe we get a pullback and find a different entry point. But I absolutely love this pick. This is probably the one of your better ones that you've brought on the Queen's Court, Mark. So keep it up.
Not only am I, so do I get to live this week?
Oh, you're definitely living.
Not only do I get to live, I got lavish praise from the Queen. I feel very good. I'm going to go back and tell my farmstead wife and my children that I'm raising in your precious kingdom that I was, the Queen had. Nice
you have one favor with the Queen, yeah, because I really love.
One favor. That's the phrase, right? I've one favor with the Queen.
You've one favor with the
Queen
a week. For at least a week.
For at least a week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So this makes me very nervous because obviously the Queen said she's in the mood for blood today, and there's only 2 participants that have appointments in the court. But I'm gonna start off my analysis with something very, very simple. Give me XME. Now, earlier in the show, we talked about XHB and the idea of the home builder ETF. And I'm a big fan of ETFs in general, exchange traded funds that track, a basket of certain things, or they track the underlying commodity that they're watching or whatever it might be. Very popular ETF in our community is the gold miner ETF, GDX, Emily, and you can take a peek at GDX specifically. And if you're focused on gold, you're focused on gold miners, this is going to be the ETF you want to watch for, obviously. And I believe, Emily, you've been watching this product for a long time, trading it in different ways and all those kind of things. I'm going to add to that and give you a different type of metals and mining analysis with XME, because XME is not just gold miners. In fact, it's mostly not gold miners. The top 10 composition in XME, I want you to think through this, okay? And I'm going to read them off to you. You can look at a couple of them. Alcoa, AA, is in the top 10. It's not number one, but it's in the top 10, okay? Now, aluminum. We're talking about aluminum stock, aluminum improvements. Nucor, huge steel company, okay? So aluminum, N-U-E, not E-U there, my queen. Nucor has been a juggernaut, and we all know what steel has been doing over the last little bit. Cleveland Cliffs, CLF, another steel company that's on our Tackle 25, a dirty, sexy money candidate list. Freeport McMoran, Copper and Gold, FCX. And hi, Mama. How are you? I'm working on my show right now. Are you going to be here for a minute? Okay. I'll come drink it. You can hang out.
I'm going to go. I
right.
just dropped off some chickens.
Sounds good. Mama Justice is here, Emily. That might actually
Hi,
give me some
Mom.
brownie points. You want to say hi to everybody? Just say hi.
Hi, hey, how's all you financial geniuses out there?
We are doing wonderful. It's good to hear your voice.
We are talking metals and mining companies right now.
We
and
were just
specifically-
talking how you should sell all your Bitcoin.
No, Mom, don't sell your Bitcoin.
Love you, Mom. I'll talk to you after my show. I'll give you a call, okay? Anyway, so we're talking about, these companies that are a composition in XME, and many names that you probably recognize or like. But even outside of those, like look at CDE, Coeur d'Alene Mines, silver mining company. So you get a little bit of those type of exposures as well. We looked at all of the metals industry earlier in the show, and we are at the very first day of a 2-day policy meeting to remind everybody in this room that yes, we're going to have soft monetary policy that's going to create inflation. Metals, mining benefit from those environments. And if you go back on XME, the chart even looks clean. The chart has a good approach to it, and the option chains are liquid. You had a higher pivot low, equal pivot low into the consolidation, Emily, and we are now threatening a breakout. XME, the metals and mining ETF. And listen, what queen doesn't need to have raw physical stuff to build her kingdom? This is my submission to you for the Queen's Court here today.
How can I kill you off and Mama was just there? Like, that's so wrong. Listen, it didn't matter what you were going to bring today. I was going to kill you off because of what you did last week. But you were on my radar. You were going to die today, whether you liked it or not. But Mama J just walked in and she said hi and she brought you food. Maybe that's your last meal before you actually get killed off. So, if I'm comparing between what Mark has and what you brought to the table, absolutely, I love Mark's pick. But I also see your point and your thesis behind XME and the metal. So I love that as well for somebody who does not have exposure in the metals. But for head-to-head battles today, Mark won, so you will have to have your head chopped off.